Guys, I know I talk about random stuff, but today I'm going to talk about something that appeals to everyone. How to write a strong, empowered female character for an upcoming novel. Because let's be real, some of the more recent movies and books are a bit on the plainer side. But don't worry, guys, I got you. So without further ado, let's get into it. First stage, contrast. So I'm talking particularly about two types of contrast. I'll get into the first one. Want and need. To create a good character, in general, you want to establish a want and a need. Through this, you'll be able to tell the story in a more connecting way. This will also lead to the moral of the story, which is usually when the character finds out what they need instead of what they want. She should spend the majority of the plot pursuing something that will gain her what she wants. But as the story rolls on, she realizes both subconsciously and consciously that what she wants might not be as good as she thinks. Let's use Inside Out for an example. Joy wants Riley to be happy, but she later learns that she needs to embrace sadness for this to be the case. This is an example of when want, or what someone may not think they want, is actually what they need to get what they want. And this is another way that you can use contrast to elevate your character. Well, what I actually meant is that this is the same example, but it was twisted and used in a different way. This will make that character more interesting, as life is often more complex than what it seems to be at times. For the second type of contrast, I want you to think of a question. A very serious question. What is my character at the start of their journey? And who are they at the end? What makes the story so interesting is to see this character develop into a girl that is probably weaker to a girl that's super strong. Because that's what makes them interesting. Let's take Mulan. At the start of Mulan's journey, she's barely able to fight anyone. But by the end, she's the strongest woman in all of China. I'm talking about the OG Mulan, the one that everyone loved. The newer one, it was okay, but because she was born with it, you didn't have the satisfaction of watching her grow. Because that's what the character is. It's someone who's gonna grow, not someone that's gonna make you grow. Sydney, sweetie. Both of these contrasts work together to improve the quality of the protagonist or even the villain. Sometimes the villain makes us question what the protagonist wants, or has the same goal as the protagonist, but sets it out differently. And this creates a more interesting contrast in itself. Secondly, character motivation. You need to think, why do they act the way they act? And after you find out what their wants and needs are, then you can think, why do they want this one? They should be inspired, and if they want to do something and you show them doing it, it should feel deserved because they've practiced or they've trained. They should be competent. This is exactly like Moana, who we know that she's inspired by water, and she's very competent and confident in herself, but she doesn't use it to bring the people around her down, like her father, who she still respects. Now that we know that she's competent, what about her flaws? Well, we need to make sure that she has compelling flaws. Flaws that make her more human. None of us are born perfect. Well, yeah, except for me. Any girls watching? I'm 5'5", by the way. I got a mustache. Please hit me up in the DMs or in the comment section. These flaws should be able to balance out her competency and make sure that not everything is too easy for her in the story, or else the story will get dry, even for her. Next up, charm. She needs to be easy to root for. Even if she is pretty prideful and arrogant, that can still be used as a tool of comedy, which will make her likable as a character. Comedy is something, whether you're a female or male character, that can really brighten up a story. particularly one that's dark, which actually goes into my next point. Personality. In a story, it's all about personality, you know? It's not just about looks, even though they both usually go together sometimes. But guess what? Her personality will also drive her charm and it will drive her motivation a lot of the time. As you can see, all of these things kind of link together to create a character. It adds depth and complexity, which is important. Personalities are usually split into different types of archetypes. This usually makes it easier for a person to know what character they will be. Let's say that there's this character called Mei Mei, and she's a coward archetype. At the start of the story, she'll just want to walk away from problems. But as the story progresses, she'll have to face her fears. And the fact is, it's real, because most people will do that. And there's nothing wrong with it. Something, however, that is very wrong, which a lot of Hollywood seems to do for some reason, is the way that they portray their emotions. There's nothing wrong with being emotional because emotions connect the audience to the character and it will make them want to root for the character even more. For instance, in the new Captain Marvel movie, you barely really see any emotion out of the character, which kind of made her pretty bland. This is coming from a professional writer, by the way. Uh, I wrote two Wattpad novels, you know. This next one, I hope it's not hard. In fact, I'd be pretty sad if it's hard. Sydney Sweetie. And that is not over sexualizing these female characters. A good example of this that I really like is Studio Ghibli. Whereas Disney often romanticizes their characters, Studio Ghibli created them as strong and more nuanced. They're not really any less romantically available or whatever, but they're still good characters within themselves and they really explore different values and emotions. For instance, in Spirited Away, the main character, she learns to be more brave and compassionate, whereas at the start she was a lot fearful, like with the coward archetype I was talking about before. If you fail in this department, I fear you'll attract the wrong audience. The ones that are the worst, the scariest ones, the ones with no jobs. But if you show her holding a job application, I'm sure they'll run away anyway, so you'd be good. The next one is give her a good villain. Or if she is the villain, make her threatening. A good villain will make the hero question their own ideology and thought process, and it will also make them scared. Make the audience, I mean, by that. I mean, in the new Star Wars movie, we weren't really scared for the main character because the villain really wasn't that threatening. He was over emotional in the wrong way. This one, I'm not saying it has to be added to make a good female character, but it is pretty good to have, and that's comedy, or a sense of cheekiness. In Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Frieren herself is kind of cheeky. She's getting into boxes or whatever and getting trapped. I mean, that's not that funny now I talk about it, but if you add some type of comedy, it will help spice it up, you know? Add in a little bit of spice. And lastly, give them common sense. I live with people that have no common sense. I don't even have common sense. But it's nice to see in a movie. Like, you don't want your audience going, no, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Sydney Sweetie. Anyway, that would be it for my video. I'm thankful that you guys watched it. If you did make it this far, um, thank you. And I'll see you in the